Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dee Reinhardt. I am a project manager with Illinois WorkNet, and today we're going to be talking about the IEBS system, the Illinois Employment and Business System. So we call it IEBS for short. And then what you can do to be able to use the system. If you are not already a partner in Illinois WorkNet, have partner status with your user account, you can sign up to become a partner. And then if we go to the partner tools, which is at the bottom of the home page for Illinois WorkNet, you can go to this section that is called Becoming a Partner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this page and put this into the chat for everybody so that just in case you don't have that link available, or if you're not already a partner, you can go here and follow the directions and we'll get you connected. Now, just so that you know, we do have a partner resource page for IEBS. And as you can see, it's the logo is right there. We've got some technical assistance people that you can reach out to. Patricia Schnorr, we call her Patty for short, is our technology and reporting manager. And she is I guess you call it the brain trust behind this tool, because she looked across the country and didn't see this and didn't see another reporting system. So she comes up with the great ideas and we just follow along and make it work. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We have a presentation. I do need to update this PowerPoint. I was just in the process of doing that before the meeting started. We've got some tools that you can look at, partner guides, training materials that we've uploaded to the system, other materials for rapid response, forms, resources that include direction guides, and then partner tool updates, so that if something is updated in the system, we will show this on the updates page. So if something looks a little bit different than the last time you were in using the system, check here and see what was updated, and then you can go back and check for the updated instructions, because we do keep those updated on the full list of resources. We have our events coming up. We do plan to do another one of these demonstrations in March, so that if you missed this one, or if you want to look to see if there's any additional updates, you can check there. We do have our previous presentations listed here as well. So that's the partner page. I'm going to put this link in the chat for you as well. So that is there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us to the actual tool page itself, the system. And I've got Levi Bierup, Levi, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell people what your title is. I'm sure a lot of people already know you.
Well, thank you, Dee. My name is Levi Bierup. I'm one of the rapid response reps in Illinois. And also I have been kind of on the IEBS brain trust team since the beginning, just to provide some operational insight to it. So I'm just here to kind of explain why some of the features are there and what the intended purpose was, and provide some best case scenarios for you all. So thanks, Dee.
You're welcome. So now we can go to the IEBS page. Now I am in test, and I just have to alert you that in test, this is where we build and play and do all of the development process things. So you may see something in test that you might not see in production right now. Those we develop and play with different things here. So just make sure that you know that we are working in test. So the first thing that you would do is, if you are logged in and if you have been given access to the IEBS system, you will see an icon on your partner page that says IEBS. And then you can click there. It will take you to this page. And as you can see, I'm logged in, and I'm logged in as a test user. So what we would do is click continue. What we want to do today is take you through the menu on here, and you will be able to see what's going on. And then we're going to come back to this page so that you can understand how to make your decision. So first of all, we have our homepage, and then we're going to just start out with companies and go across the menu to my right. We do have a question in the chat. It says, how do we get approval access to Illinois WorkNet EBS? And it's IEBS, just so that you know, Debbie. That is done if you are part of the rapid response teams, if you are part of the trade event teams, and we will be having an option coming up for business development people as well. So navigators and other partners as it becomes available with some of the different tools that we have. So if you want to talk to your local system administrator for the rapid response teams, they will be able to let you know whether or not you would be able to have access. And if you don't already, we will find out who that person is that you need to reach out to. All right, I got that explanation out for you. Yay, thank you very much. All right, so we're going to start with the companies page. And on the companies page, and I just wanted to let you know that for the system, the EBS system, I am the project manager to answer your technical questions, your user type kind of questions. Chris Tylen, and it's Chris with a K. And Levi, do you happen to have his email address that you could put into the chat? And what I'll do is I'll put my email address in here. So I am part of the Illinois WorkNet team. I manage several projects for them. So this is a fun one for me because it deals with businesses. Okay, thank you for letting me know, Darlene. Okay, so on the company page, we have the ability to look for some, thank you, Levi, for adding that email address for Chris. And then the other person that you would want to reach out to is your local system administrator. And Chris Tylen manages that list of local system administrators. And so if you're unsure of who that person would be, you can reach out to Chris Tylen and he will get you connected to the proper person. All right, back to companies page. We have a companies page, and these are businesses. You can see that we have 587,000 businesses listed in the test directory. I'm not exactly sure how many are in the production directory, but I know it's at least this many. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a look to see how we can filter to find businesses. So Levi, do you want to give them a best practice of how we might want to look or filter?
Absolutely. Thanks, Dee. Right. And what Dee's showing here is kind of our directory of businesses in Illinois. And the intended purpose of this page is kind of to give you a quick overview of the financial and operational health of the companies. And so it's kind of designed for your benefit. But the best case use scenarios that we've come up with is there are 3 major ways to filter out and search for businesses. And I think Dee and I agreed we were going to kind of go with the Energy Equity Act and look for some fossil fuel businesses as an example. But we wanted to show you that there's 3 major ways to search. One is you can search for a business by name. You can search based on industry or NAICS code. And you can also search by location. And if you combine them, you can really filter down and find yourself a really wonderful list that you can customize. And I think Right, Dee, that's where we started with energy. And so we were thinking of, we're looking for businesses in the energy sector because we're concerned about the Energy Equity Act. And we see there's 946 businesses that have energy listed as part of their business name. But we also could look for them based on a NAICS code. And Dee, I think we have to take energy out of there.
Got
And
it?
we're looking for fossil fuel business. So we looked up a NAICS code, and the NAICS code's 221112. And this is a company that runs with petroleum fuels. And I think if you see on the list, it's a fossil fuel electric power generation.
But what we
It's
did want to show you
specific.
too is if you just start the NAICS code, even if you just have the first two digits, it will give you an entire listing of all of the different NAICS codes that are associated with that industry. So we're going to pick the fossil fuel electric, right?
Now, you're going to see it's going to auto-populate, and it's going to put in 8 companies there. Now, I believe I talked to someone in LB1 recently, and we talked about what companies operate within certain industries, and he was specifically talking green energy. You can enter as many NAICS codes as you like in this field, or you could just click NAICS industries and go with just a general, like 22 for utilities. So you can really break this down and get a solid list. And why she's on there, something good to show is, you can filter based on the 4-digit NAICS code. Like you can see right there, natural gas distribution, which will bring you all those companies that fall under that 4-digit NAICS, or you can get specific with the 6-digit NAICS. Now we chose to get specific with the 6-digit NAICS. So by removing this one, we can go back to our original list of 8. Now we got to think about regionally. And I talked about the third way to search. The third way to search is by location. So we decided we'd look, assuming we're Southern Illinois, and click on Elwea and choose 26. And when you do this, it's going to show you those companies in this local area that operate under that NAICS. And you can see if we go up, we found one company in that area. And Dee, do you want to go ahead and talk about this list function real quick to show how they can add this to a
Well,
list for
what I would like to do is add another Elwea, right? Because we decided
That's
when
true.
we were looking at this, we picked, now I can't
10.
remember, it was Will County.
Will County. We decided, yes, we could also look for companies in Will County as well. And that brought us back 3 results. But I think in this scenario, we wanted to save these to go back and look for it later.
Correct.
And so you want to go and explain that process?
Yes. So if you find the businesses and we have the company name right here, we can click on this arrow and click Manage Lists. So now I started a list with Electric Energy Inc. out of Joppa or Joppa, if you're saying it with a Hispanic bent. And then we can manage our lists, and we can either create a new list or we can add them to an existing list. So now I was doing my list in my Mind User account, so I didn't get it added in Test Energy Companies. We're going to make this. And we can put a description in here. I'm not going to, just to save a little bit of time. So I do have to put, okay.
It's going to require you. It always wants you, one of the things that in EBS, just to elaborate, is case notes are huge. And everyone that I've monitored, I harp on case notes. It's just a part of EBS, so you know what's going on. So
yeah. Okay, so now what I would do now is I would click on this energy companies, and it would see the check mark, it adds them to the list. So I'm going to close this. I can then now go to the Joliet one. I can add it to the energy companies. I can go to electric energy and add that one to the energy companies. If you want to make a different list because it was south versus north, you could make another new list and make it like energy companies northern, energy companies southern. All right.
Right. This is just another way for you as a user to have the information you need sorted the way you want it.
And when you are done looking for your companies, sorting or filtering, you have the ability to go to your outreach tab, where you can see your lists that you've created. So if you want to pull a whole bunch of different companies into different lists, then you would see all of those companies listed here. And just so that you know, projects is a future enhancement, so that if you want to start a project for the list that you've created, you will be able to do this. It is part of our business outreach that we are currently, one of our programmers is working on right now, probably as we speak. And so this is not right now available.
Now, Dee, since you said that, I think this is a good time to jump in and add something real quick. The question that could be going through people's minds is, well, how the heck am I going to know it's available? Well, if you look at the screen right here, there's a little red fire symbol next to that question mark. If you click that, that's called release notes. So once you click on that, it'll show you any enhancements made to the system, which it's asking
only they're live. They're production ones, so I can't log in as test.
So, but if you click on that, it's going to show you enhancements. But see, now that she's come back, after you review the enhancements, that little red symbol goes away. So every time you log in, you'll know if something new's in the system based on whether or not there's a red fire symbol. That's just a little quick tip for everybody out there.
Thanks for pointing that out, Levi. Okay, now we can create a new list from here as well. And we can always go back to the companies, take a peek, and see if there's anybody else that we want to add to our lists one way or the other. You ready to move on to LMI, Levi?
I'm ready.
All right. So under LMI, which stands for Labor Market Information, we have a couple of options here. And under Dashboard, we see the basics of LMI with our charts, and this is statewide information. And we decided that we wanted to show you the difference if we add some additional information. So we're going to
before we go on, let me just go ahead and give an overview of this real quick.
Oh, sure.
Get everybody's attention. So I know this is a layoff seminar, but this is some just labor market information. There's some valuable information here that can be used for briefing documents or just for your own curiosity. Kind of what you're going to find on this tab is UI rates starting at the highest possible level all the way down to the lowest precise level. There's also location quotient information. That was a mouthful. Anybody that was at the regional roundtable is probably familiar with the location quotient information. So that's there on there as well. And then something she's going to show later is the counties tab. And this counties tab, I always call it the goodies tab or briefing tab because it has all this information pre-filled for your county. That's really great information to have. But Dee, do you want to go ahead and take it away and show them how to kind of simplify this chart to make it easier to digest and relevant to them?
Sure. We decided we were going to filter by a month. So let's take February, for example. And what we're going to do now is we're going to add a local workforce area. So we're going to add 5 because I happen to live in Elwea 5. And then we're going to add an economic development region. And my EDR is the Northeast region. So as you can see here, we get a chart based on those 3 areas that we picked. So it's a comparison between state, Elwea, and EDR. And if you hover over the points, it gives you bullets of what's going on with the unemployment information, unemployment insurance, which is what UI stands for, in that area for February of 21, February 1 of 20, and all the way back here to February 1 of 2012. And you can see that in 2012, our unemployment rates were much higher than they are currently, or they were in 2020.
Right, and we just picked February.
Ballpark here.
Right. And we just picked February just for this example. You could really customize it to show anything you want, or even shorten the year span if you wanted, just to get a comparison. And where it says nation, state, and counties, you can add a county, you can add other information there. So you have a lot of options to customize it any way you want. We just want you to know the information's there. And I also think it's important to mention that this information does come from IEBS. So that is the source. And we worked with them to bring this here and to bring you specifically the non-seasonally adjusted monthly UI rates. So this is the same information you're going to see on virtual labor market. Just we think it's easy to digest, and it's right here for you in one system. I'm sorry, Dee, go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's great. It's nice to give everybody the use options for this. So now we have EDR top cluster industries, and this is brought to us from this cluster mapping website. That's where we get the information. And if we pick an economic development region, so I'm going to pick North Central. I'm also going to pick, and watch how the graph changes. I'm also going to pick Northeast. And I'm also going to pick Northern State Line. And it's giving us the top 5 industry clusters, but we have other options here. So we can go by industry. We can pick specific industries, or we can do just the top 5. And remember, you can add more than one item from your drop-down list. So that's really useful because you can contrast and compare. Once you have the information below, it shows you based upon the actual cluster. So this is the industrial cluster. And this is for Northern State Line. This is for Northeast. And these are for North Central. And if you notice, we have different top clusters by area, by EDR. So up here, we've got distribution and electronic commerce, where in this region, it's business services. And in this region, it's duplicated as business services. And you can see the numbers across the top, the right-hand side here. Now, Levi, how could you use this?
Now, if you can scroll back up just to where that blue area was so we can look at the map. And Chelsea Qualls, I know you're on the call, so get ready to laugh at me because she always gets a kick when I try to describe this thing. But we introduced this at a regional roundtable, and regional planners love this because my understanding is these location quotients are the companies that have a competitive advantage in your area, and it's helpful to have that information in real time. And then with the industry clusters, you can also find places with competitive disadvantages if you really wanted to sort down. But this information was presented. Everyone really liked it, so we wanted to keep it up here in real time. And this is just something for you to digest. There may be future enhancements coming to this, but right now this was just presented to help you identify industries that have the competitive advantages in your area.
Great. I just think some of these numbers are fascinating.
Right, and you can see one issue was if the company's vitally important and you see the employment difference dropping, you know, that could be a cause for concern. So it's something to put in here. It's just one quick look at a glance. Here's your information for you. And this all is going to tie in too when we go to the counties tab. You'll see in a moment.
So we can see this information by map. We can see it by EDRs, economic development regions. We can see it by local workforce investment areas, or we can see it by counties. And Levi loves this page. So this is where we're looking at counties, and we're going to look at, was it Bond County, Levi?
Yeah, let's look at Bond County. And this is interesting because you can really get down to that as a micro, macro level, but the smallest one to see what's going on. And what's great about this, you see when it comes in, what it does automatically is it preloads some certain information there. It gives you Illinois' UI rate, the United States UI rate, Bond County's UI rate, LEA 22 and Southwest region. So everything right there is filtered in. And if you hover over those dots, you're going to get all that information just like before. And like the other screen, you can use the month to filter by month, year to filter by year to get the precise information you want. We also provide that information in a table below so you can see the change over time. So that's really helpful. And then what we also do is include that cluster industries for you as well. But there's one other thing on this page I think is really helpful is when you go down further, it has, I believe, the Help Wanted Online data sourced to your thing. And this gets updated from IDS once they notify us there's a new file available. You can see right now we have January 2020, but there's two columns on here. 2022. Wow, I messed that up. But you have your employer, the number of online job ads, but what we also do is put what those specific occupations are in those online job ads, because Amazon could be hiring for multiple positions. Some of them might be frontline supervisors, some might be light truck or delivery service drivers. So it's two ways to look at the information, if that makes sense. But this thing is a really good quick briefing for a county if you want to look and see information what's going on right now. And I forgot this even existed. We have the layoff information here. So this county luckily hasn't suffered any layoffs, but if we went to Cook County or any other county that suffered large layoffs, sorry, Cook County, you would see what are the 10 active layoffs currently in your county, any trade layoffs, and what are the largest layoffs affecting any company there. So there's a lot of great information right there for you in one place.
I just keep learning more and more about this. This is amazing. All right.
The system's not difficult to use. Once you learn where to drive it, it's fine.
All right. Underserved area search gives us the ability to look by address where people are underserved in the state. And one of the things that we wanted to do was show you the difference between entering two addresses, one that is definitely answering all the questions for underserved and another address that doesn't. So I'm going to enter in 200 North Central Park Avenue, and you can see that we have some options here that we can pick from. And we know that it's Chicago. What did you just say, Levi?
I just was mentioning that it does autofill for convenience there.
And so we see that, yes, all of the qualifications are a yes for this area to be considered underserved. So do you want to talk a little bit more about this, Levi?
I do. I want to wax poetic for a moment. And the inspiration for this tab was marijuana, okay? And what I mean by that is Patty was approached by somebody from the governor's office to create a system for the Cannabis Equity Act. And so that was the purpose of it. And there was certain requirements based on the grant. And this is what we've been used to come up with underserved area. And you can see from that an underserved area is defined as, and we have our 3 requirements. But if you go below, it doesn't just tell you yes or no. It tells you specifically how it qualifies or disqualifies for that specific underserved, status. And then it gives you the source for it. Another thing there, and this is because a lot of work went in this, is everything is based on census tract, and we're showing you the census tract, and census tracts are such small amount of data. This wasn't a small feat. So I don't know if there's anything Patty wanted to say about this, because this was her innovation, but we just want to mention this was there, and it's kind of cool. But Dee, I think before we let Patty say anything, sorry, Patty, you should show the reverse of what happens if you search for an address and it's not understood.
So now I wanted to look for an area that I knew was not underserved. So I picked Oak Brook. And you can see it's a resounding thumbs down that it does not meet the underserved qualifications. And it tells you why. And it gives you a map location on here. I want to read in from the chat a couple of comments here. If a location quotient is equal to 1, then the industry has the same share of its area employment as it does in the nation. A location quotient greater than 1 indicates an industry with a greater share of the local area employment than is the case nationwide. For example, Las Vegas will have an LQ greater than 1 in the leisure and hospitality industry because this industry makes up a larger share of the Las Vegas employment total than it does for the whole nation as a whole. And those comments refer back to our page where we were talking about on the dashboard, the LQ in the graphs.
Thanks, Chelsea.
All right. What else do we need to say about this page, Levi?
I think we showed it. It's
Okay.
just a quick address search that gives you information.
I do want to share a quick something.
Sure.
It was the conversation was the governor's office. I picked up the phone one day back in the day, and they were in process of trying to draft the Cannabis Act, for the dispensaries. And so when you look at that information that she has there, location quotient, the A, the B to C, that's actually the legislation. They sent over, I said, okay, well, what are the qualifications to do it? What makes it eligible, that area eligible? So they sent that over. And then so we had to sit down and say, go get that data and create the visuals. And then also it's an or. So you would see on some of these that there might be a green thumb up for A and two red thumbs up for B or C, but it's if there's one thumbs down, it's a no at the top. This also, for those of you that are familiar with some of the tax credits in the state, like the EDGE tax credit, and I'm trying to think of some others off the top of my head, and I can't, but this isn't just for the Cannabis Act, these underserved areas. It's also this, if you look through the legal terms, it's also applicable to many other programs throughout the state.
Thank you, Patty. The last thing that we'd like to show you on I'm sorry, we have two things left. Under the LMI, we have QCEW, and that stands for, Levi?
Quarterly Census Employment Wage Data.
All right. And
Don't
right
ask me
now,
what I stand for.
and right now, we only have one quarter listed in here, and that is because we use this for regional project planning. So when we do need more information, we can get more data. This shows a location quotient, which is exactly what Chelsea just typed about for us. So thank you, Chelsea. It was a good time to put that in there. And we can look by industries. So if we want to look for manufacturing, it shows, and we can see what the quotients were. And you can filter by LWIA.
Just nice visuals for you.
Go ahead, Levi.
I was just saying, this is just other visuals to help you absorb information differently. We're trying to make this as applicable to as many people as possible. We also have the employment gains loss too, which is the other item on the tab. And so that kind of just gives you a quick visual on there so you can see some of the most impacted areas by industry as well. So we just want to make users aware that this is there too.
And now last in this tab is HWOL, which stands for Help Wanted Online. And this is by economic development region. It is fueled by information from the Illinois Department of Employment Security. So if you want to, we did talk about this on our other page where we were looking at the counties, but this is based upon EDR right now. And so if I go to Southeast, let's go to Southeast. And again, this is filtered on January 22. You can take a look. So if I wanted to go back, so for example, this registered nurses is top billing in the Southeast for January of 22. But if I go back to December of 21, they still are. Oh, it looks like they need some registered nurses in that area. But back in October of 21, first line supervisors were the top pick. And again, if you were to click on this employer right here, it would take you to the online listings for those companies at that time.
Yeah, right now they'll go back to the company search screen, so you can find companies similar to that. I think the thing to point out about this page is this information is sourced from IDES. But if anyone's been to the IDES page before, the Helpful Online data is published as PDFs. And so this just gives you access to quickly view it in one click and digest as much of it as possible. So this is the same data you could find IDS just at a click of a button instead of having to download multiple PDFs.
All right. You want to move on to layoffs now?
Yes, let's move on to layoffs and show them something they've never seen.
All right. So
Okay,
under
Jen,
layoffs,
While
Patty?
you're transitioning, go ahead. But like, again, to keep in mind, one of the things with EBS, it's built to be both proactive, reactive strategies in mind. So we're trying to put everything in place where if a company, you're seeing a company is laying off there, maybe there's another company that's hiring. So there's the ability in EBS to, like, when something's happening and people are getting laid off, the ability to go search companies that may be hiring and be able to get the information of the contact people of that company and to be able to be more quickly assisting and helping people. And then one more caveat I'm going to add is, like, EBS is always evolving, growing, and we're always trying to keep ways and using things with it. So one of the things we welcome after this is suggestions, and as you're using it, my name's on the webpage, send me ideas that you have, or I should do this. That's always something that's welcome. One of the things that I'm working with IDS right now is to have a more micro level of the jobs that are being posted online. So we won't, hopefully in the next future, I'd say 6 to 8 months, is you'd be able to drill down and see what those jobs are. So I'm always trying to work to the next level and the next efficiencies and being able to help your jobs run smoother, be able to get the information you need quicker, faster, and in one place.
I like looking forward.
Before we move on, I just want to briefly talk about this tab and mention one thing. You see the word admin there? You're not going to see that. He's a very important person, so she gets that tab, so don't ask for it. I'm joking. No, that's just her administrator tab. But the layoffs tab, which she's currently on, there's a variety of information you see, or a variety of links you can click. Before we click on them, I just want to kind of briefly tell you what they are. The overview dashboard, this is a dashboard I consider a managerial view. The workflow dashboard, that is for your rapid response practitioners, mainly the people who are responsible for either entering events or responding to surveys. Search is a screen where if you were going in and looking for layoff warned local information, that's where you would go. Add layoff, that's where you click on to add a layoff using the Dun & Bradstreet information, but everyone's seen that before. What we want to do today is go down to the bottom where it says search organizations and add organizations. Add organization is the method you would use to create a layoff. So that's what we want to do today. But first, let's start with the overview dashboard, Dee, and show them what they have there, which is considered the managerial dashboard.
Sure thing. We do have a question in the chat, though, that I would like to read into the record and see if we can get an answer. Shelley is asking, can the data in the underserved area be used to assist in documenting WIOA eligibility?
It doesn't show the free schoolage program, but it does show like poverty percentages, if I remember correctly. So I think that's something we have to look at, and that's policy. I'm not sure.
Patty, you got an answer for that, maybe?
Let me read it one more time. Just documenting WIOA eligibility. I would say, I mean, yeah, for the poverty and things like that, you're going to be seeing populations that are, that have that reality. So I never really thought about it before, but yeah, definitely.
Sounds like youth eligibility.
It was specific to youth eligibility. Was my question.
That's what I figured. Shelley, we can follow up on that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Levi, you making a note?
Yes.
All right. So now on the overview dashboard, this is, as Levi said, the management level, the 50,000 foot level for the information. We do have the ability to drill down to county, LWIA, EDR, and region. And we see reported employees impacted in the last 30 days. This is all layoff information. And then reported in the last 90 days and in the last 12 months. So we've had now this is test, remember this is test. So these numbers may not be accurate, but in production, we do have the most accurate numbers.
And this information is fueled by the warrant events we enter. So I call this the managerial thing because if you assume, let's say we're LW at 70 and we clicked on the blue LWIA button above the numbers and then chose LWIA 7, what you would see is information pertaining specifically to LWIA 7. So with a quick look, you can say, in the last 30 days, no one's been laid off or reported, not laid off, has been reported to us as being laid off or going to lay off. Last 90 days has been 20, and you can see in the last 12 months, that's the number here. If you went back and looked at like the COVID data, you'd see a large increase. Like if you look in that map, you can see March 2020 is the second from the right. That's when COVID hit. So you can see the number of layoffs was drastically higher at that point. So this gives you a look at what's going on in history as things are happening. October, you see increases, April, you see increases, but this gives you a general idea of what the layoff activity has been like in your area. Another thing this page provides is layoff breakout by industry. So if you scroll down, you could see specifically industries impacted. And so it's going to give you a percentage right here. Now, this is test. You can see it's telling us no industry is the highest. That's inaccurate. It should be showing us industry, but for right there, manufacturing, 19% of those have been manufacturing layoffs. So just some information there for you as well. And then the other thing we have is the layoff and workshop event calendar. So when events are scheduled, they will appear on this. I think if we change it to the whole state, D, we can see what some events would look like on there. Right, and so this is your calendar of events. So you can see there's a workshop scheduled for February, and there were 5 events in February with 116 being impacted. So it's just a quick look, and then down below, we have information about the 5 largest scheduled layoffs for February. So
and remember,
that's why I consider it like a managerial. Right, this is test information, but this is just a quick overview of the activity going on in your area.
Then we have the workflow dashboard, and this is pretty cool because you can keep track of how your layoffs are working in your area. And we've got yellow cautionary numbers, we've got green your good numbers, and then just blue informational numbers. So do you want to dive into this a little bit more and how people can use this better, Levi?
Absolutely. And I think at the beginning, Dee said that we're going to follow back in the end and show you how you can set one of these as your start page, as your start a day page. This is the page I consider for the rapid response practitioners. So when you log in here, you see on the left-hand side, you automatically have some indicators right there. You have questionnaires, layoff updates, scheduled events, active layoffs, and older layoffs. And those all have a certain purpose. Now the questionnaires, those are the ones that would be submitted online from someone on one of the company pages. If there is a questionnaire that's not been answered, that's going to flag and show you. And it's also going to show under submitted questionnaires, you can see on the screen. You can see there's a button there that shows only non-contacted. If you checked that, or unchecked it rather, it would show you the customers that you have contacted. So Dee, can you go down to submitted questionnaires and see what happens if you uncheck that? So if there was anybody who hadn't responded to, you know what, can you type my name in there?
Okay, I just got lost. Surveyor
Okay, go back to the top. So this workflow dashboard, what's going to show up with your layoffs? I don't think Dee has any layoffs assigned to her, so we're going to switch it to my name. And so if I came in here, you just type in beer, Levi. Right.
There we go.
Here we go. So at the start of the day, you come in. And remember, this is test information. This is test information. So questionnaires, 8. So I see that automatically. Okay, I have 8 questionnaires. Now, I can go over to submitted questionnaires and check that box that says show only not contacted. So I can get a list of who hasn't been contacted. Now this shows me I'm good, but uncheck that one more time because I want to show people what it looks like when they look at these. So click on any one of those. If there is a questionnaire in there, it's going to show up like this. And this is kind of what you consider like a call sheet for the customer. Well, that was a bug. It should have gone straight there. Can you try that one more time, Dee, by clicking on that name? just on this page.
Oh, sorry, I went back.
That's okay.
Let's.
Okay, so the question there is if you can uncheck that show not contacted. We're going to get this fixed, but when you click on a name, like click on that Ronald Salisbury, it's going to go to their contact sheet. There we go.
Oh, and
So
I clicked on the company name, Levi. That's why it didn't come right
Okay,
here.
apologies. So if you have a thing that has not been responded to, this is what you're going to see. And it's going to give you some quick information. This is all made up test data. First, it's going to tell you their name, their address, phone number, email address. Also on the other side, if you zoom in, you're going to see a map. And this is kind of your quick referral map. That black eye contact, that is the surveyor, the person that entered the survey. The blue icon is where they worked. And then any of those yellow pin dots, those are the WIOA locations. So if you're looking at this map, you can see visually what's the quickest location. And if you click on that pin, it's going to give you contact information. So you can immediately refer that person to where they need to go. And also below is information about what their interests are. So you can see if they're a veteran and priority of service. You can see if they're interested in training or employment services, and then get a little bit of information about them. And so that's just a quick overview of what that's like. When you have contacted the person, if you scroll up, D, right below their contact information, there will be a button to click. All you do is click it, and it's going to put in there who contacted that person and when, so you can keep a record of that. And so, D, you can close out of that. We can go through the rest page. Sorry that was choppy, everyone. It's going to get better, I promise. Okay, so let's go back to the workflow dashboard and start a day stuff again. So on this, we've talked about the questionnaires, but also on the left side, you have layoff updates. So if you go down a little bit further, if there's been any update to your layoffs, they will display here. Now, this is here because there could be multiple people working on a layoff. So I, as the state rep, could be entered event and enter my notes. The person that's a local rep could also come into their notes. And when I log in, I'm going to see that Susie Fieri has updated my layoff with some information. Great. I know I got my summary right there. Below this is just my work calendar. So if I scroll down a little further, and right shows you who entered the information. I am Danger Beer. I'm pleasure to meet everyone here. It'll show your scheduled calendar events, and it'll also show your active layoffs. You can see I don't have any test events scheduled here, but I do have some active layoffs in this. So this will tell me quickly, these are the current active layoffs I'm working off, and it does show local and Warren. So that way I'll be able to know I got my events, but what is the LWIA working on? So I'll be able to see that in one quick look. Now, we also have active layoffs older than 18 months. Everyone that's sat on any meeting knows there's a procedure around closing IEBS events. If the event has been active for 18 months and has fewer than 5 active participants, it can be closed. And one thing we have on here, and this is something new some people may not have seen, like with this Prairie Farms, it brings service counts from IWDS. It tells me there are 3 total people associated with this DETS ID and IWDS. There are currently 2 active people in training, and there are 2 people that have been exited from this. So it gives you a quick look at service counts, and those service counts are available on the layoff pages too for everyone to see. That's just something new that we wanted to point out. So this is kind of the rapid response practitioner start a day screen. I think it's a great screen to start on if you are responsible for responding to surveys, because they will show up right there and you're less likely to miss anything or provide better customer service. And then the other screen you can start off on is the search screen. Now this search screen, this is all of our current active and closed events. So if you needed to find a specific layoff, this is where you'd come to search. There's also, I would like to show in here too, Dee, if you can use this information to find information about events in your area. So say you wanted to search for any event that was manufacturing impacted of all time. So for status, we would just change status to active and closed. And then we can go down, and for industry, there's a drop down. We could change that to manufacturing. And so you're going to see this is going to do a little bit of filtering. When you go back to the top, it's going to filter out just layoffs that were considered manufacturing. So it's now filtered to 1,800 events that are associated with manufacturing.
And it
So
had
this is
started
just a
out
way
at
for you to search.
7,300.
It's just a way for you to search any active or closed events. And D, if you want to click on Fisher Nuts just so they can see the layoff management page. This is the layoff management page. So you can see right here, you have your map of the event. And then something really important to point out is the layoff cause. One thing we're really trying to emphasize about a state is being really proactive about identifying causes of layoffs, specifically to target any trade impacted companies. So during an initial meeting or any time, if you learn that there is a possibility this company was somehow impacted by any kind of foreign trade, you could change this layoff cause. And all you would do is click edit information underneath the map and then update your cause there. You can see where it says causes other. If you X that out and just change that to trade, it would update your information and then save.
Oh,
Well, I'm not sure why that, okay, well, we hit a bug here.
is it the union thing again? I don't know that Chris has pushed this yet.
I don't know, we should just cancel that, but just know that you are able to trade that. Again, this is test.
Right. This is where
And
we
then you
play.
Right. And then you have your organizational details and your contacts. And everything is available on the left-hand side too as a quick jump bar if you need to.
It has who the contacts are. So, oh, look, there's LWIA 5 people. And then this is the
right. Now, actually, D,
employer
while we're here, there's something to point out. If we can go back to search, this is a perfect time to bring this example up. There has been an issue where case managers have kind of contacted the DCO trade office and said that they're unable to pull in the trade information through the standard search screen. So when you go to the employment history screen, you enter the debts ID, it pulls nothing in. What that means is typically that the EBS information, or specifically the trade information, has not been entered in the events. So let's just pretend that we got a notification that Fisher Nuts has been trade certified today. What needs to be done is, if it's a local, the local rapid response rep would go in. If it's a statewide, the state's rapid response go in. But in this case, the local rep would go in. On the left-hand quick jump bar, they would click trade and fill out this trade section. So all you need to do is click edit trade and fill in every single one of these boxes right here. They're all required. You can find them on the USDOL site. You all know where that information's at. But fill in this information, and that stuff will, once it's completed and saved, will pull into IWDS employment history once the customer, or once the case manager goes in there and puts in the debts ID. And I highly advise doing this once you're notified of the certification, just so once a customer comes in, you don't have that awkward moment where they're across from you trying to enroll and you're like, well, I got to contact someone about this. It's just good practice, I believe. And for product, I always just check the petition. I look on the petition, see what it says on there. Usually it's something vague. So I just put whatever's on there. And so now the trade information's in there and it'll be pulled in. You can see right down below that, we have the notes. So you can attach a file to this, and any file attached to anything will show up here. And so if we go back, can you go back and click that D and click on the warrant so they can see it? So we attached a document there. There's a quick Google view, which is the little television icon. You can preview the document straight from EBS. So that is available for you there as well. And you can see this is test, so we're just putting in not real documents. But that's a quick, easy way to view the files. These files can also be attached to notes, but they will always show up here. And then D, the schedule. The schedule, that's your schedule layoffs. That can be updated at any time by clicking edit schedule. So you can add dates, you can change the numbers, but just know if you add something, the system's going to require documentation. So this is the process you would go through if you got a supplemental. If you got a supplemental and it said, 50 more people are being laid off in the next month, you would just enter the information here and the system would say, okay, what's going on?
I didn't change the numbers in what I just did. I just changed the numbers for the day. So the total number was not impacted on my change just now.
The layoff schedule just changed.
Yes.
And so when you save it, this is where it's going to ask you if it's related to something, and you can say, add new note, this is a supplemental. Now you're always going to get, when you get something as the before and after, so you can see what the history looks like. Now I think it might be wise, D, to go ahead and show them
How to add?
what's next on that list, because this will make more sense when we go through the process. So add layoff is the way everyone's familiar with. We want to show them the add organization this time, D.
Okay. So do you have a name you want to make up?
Let's call this Test Company 1. So when you enter this, your top box is going to be kind of your high level information. So she's entered the name of the company. If you have a theme, you can enter it here. But one thing that was required at minimum is the name of the company and the industry. We're always trying to capture the industry. I think the example we've been using, D, is 22. And that's in the industry information box down below.
Oh,
Well,
I'm
not for
sorry.
that one. Right. So the only two things require the name and then this industry. And so if you click that drop down first, 22, I think it was what, utilities? Right. And then we can search for our NAICS, and the example we used before was the 221112. There it is, fossil fuel electric power generation. And so now we go below, and this is where you can hit the copy from organization button in the right-hand part of the gray button, D, and you're going to see it's going to pre-populate some of those fields for you. And so now you can just enter the address. And this is the address where the layoff will be occurring. And you can see, since you hit copy from organization, the industry, the NAICS have been pulled in down there. And so then once you have that in there, you can simply click save. And so now you can see we're gone to an organization page. So she's got the map on there. She doesn't have any contacts in yet, but if she scrolls down, she has a location. So if we scroll there and we click on Test Company 1, that's going to take us to a screen where you can just click Add Layoff. And that's going to bring us back to the layoff management page we were before, but you see it's filled out some certain things. It's entered the company name, address, county, phone number, primary industry, the LWIA, and it automatically puts the report date in as today, but you can modify that. And then you continue on with your normal procedures documenting the event. And so for this one, we can just say it's other, just like before. Full-time employees, I think, was 125. And you can see when you start entering stuff in there, it's going to start pre-filling what type of event it is. And so with 25, that's going to be worn. And for the reason, we're doing mass layoff. I don't know the expected layoff date. Do you? Did they tell you?
Yeah, they told me it's going to be May 1st. Or May 2nd, May 2nd.
May 2nd.
Now
Okay,
the
now
event cause,
this is something you always want to thought. Now, one thing we do want to point out is for national disaster, if you click that, one thing we did during the COVID era is we put a drop down so you can designate it as a COVID related thing. So we'll go ahead and put that one as this, just to show you that option is available. You can click as many as apply as well if you need to.
So if it was a fire and they're not going to be rebuilding, or if it was consolidation with another company, you can pick multiple reasons.
Now, thinking about 1E, since you mentioned that, Dee, if you click natural disaster, if the governor declares a natural disaster, we have the national emergency declaration. So you could say this was a flood impacted. So you got a 1E flood grant. These are the companies, and this is what the reason was. So this company got hit by COVID and a flood. Horrible luck for test company one.
That's bad.
So going down, since we said this is when we're going to require some documentation, Dee. So we got to click. For this, it's going to be unofficial. Let's just pretend we read a newspaper. And then we can type in there, read a newspaper.
Online, because nobody hardly gets real newspapers anymore.
And if you have a file, you can attach it there. If it is an official notification, it is going to require a file. If you have an unofficial notification, it's still highly recommended to attach something, but it's not going to be required as far as I believe. Now, you can put the public layoff page just by clicking yes. Does this layoff include any additional documentation? Typically, answer no, but if you do get any information, like possibly a worker list or any outreach material for the companies, you can add a note, explain it exactly. You can attach website news articles there. So you can attach pretty much anything you want there. You can see, since they were asking about website news articles, in the text box above, there is a link button where if you clicked that, you can put a URL in, and you could put that website URL and make it part of the case note. So I hope that answers the question there. This page, if you have a question, if this page be made available to print, that's something I can't answer now, but we can find out about that. Okay, so click no for additional documentation, because at this time we're going to assume we don't have any. Display public layoff assistance page, yes or no. If it's unconfirmed, typically we like to go with no, just because we don't want that information out there publicly. But if this is something you read in the paper, it's public information, by all means, click yes. Have the public page automatically made for you. Trade event, upfront rapid response, typically don't know yet, so you're going to say no.
But if we say yes, then we fill in the information.
It's going to require the information. So if you did get trade certification, there is no current active event, you could still enter it in this manner. Now, we don't want to remove those, but you can see it's going to autofill the information you had now. For instance, say these 25 are being off 2 different dates, you could add another date and have 13 be laid off in one or 15 laid off another. Just enter the actual layoff schedule as provided. And one of the differences between DETS and the EBS systems is we allow you to enter specific dates. Prior, it was just month and year.
Are unions involved? No.
Now, if the union is involved, you can click on yes, and you're going to get this union search box. Now, you can see there are a lot of options here. There is only one question required. Have you been able to research union involvement with this layoff? It's possible when you're creating the event and you don't have that information right now, but that's going to be a flag. So leaving that no is the best way to go if you don't have full information. That way, when you talk to the union, you can circle back and answer any questions. But what you can do right now, if you know the union, enter it. So you can click the union search button. And again, today we're going to show you the manual ways to do things. So if you click that, you're going to see the option on this screen. If you scroll to the bottom, I believe, isn't it?
I think we had to.
Oh, that's right. Cancel out. The manual way, the button's already there below. I'm sorry. The manual way we're going to do it is just clicking the Add Union button at the very bottom there. So click on union search. I think it's gonna, oh wait, hit cancel. I'm sorry. You have to click DMV lookup. That's my bad. So you click union search. Click DMV union lookup. And then you see where it says, you know what? I thought it was that way. I can't remember. Oh, that was the way. Okay, Dee, can you go back and we'll just do it one more time just to give them the full look? I apologize, everyone.
Okay, we'll edit this before posting.
So by clicking DMV Union Lookup, it'll bring you to a screen. So you click Union Search, click DMV Union Lookup, and then instead of searching for it in the DMV system, you can click Add Union in the bottom right. Now that's going to bring up just a text entry screen. Now there are minimal requirements here. You have to enter the union name. You have to enter the address, the city, and the zip code where they reside. And then you click save, and then you have your union set in there. Now, you want to add your contact to that, you can click search for contacts, and you can see it's going to bring up your contact screen. Now, all you have to do is create a contact, and you can put in Fred Miller, Mary Jones, and you don't have to enter any contact information if you do not have it. You can go ahead and save it for later, at least so you have a contact name, and you have to click select on that to add her to it. So now you have your union, the information. We don't have to answer any of the other questions at this moment. All we have to do is just continue down our list. We don't have job details. We can say this impacts another LWIA. And then you can see once you select your LWIA information, it pulled in the rapid response reps responsible for that. And you can add more as needed. And then when you have all your information in there, all you're going to need to do is click save and approve, and your layoff will now be added to the system. And so we've come full circle, and now we're back at the layoff information screen that we started at. And so I think the question was at the beginning, what do we do with that first screen to select where we start? Is that correct?
Yes. So if we go back to our home page and we click continue, it's asking us where do we want to land when we log into IEBS. So we have the ability to pick our starting path. So do we want to land on the search page? Do we want to land on the workflow dashboard? Do we want to land on the company's page or the LMI dashboard? It's up to you which one you pick, which one where you will go the most frequently so that you don't have to find it from the drop-down menus at the top.
Right. It's and once you select this, once you select this, you're not going to see this again. It's just going to go straight to the page. But if your role changes or you start a new project, you do have the ability to change this later. Just know it's a one-time set, but it can be updated later.
And it's right here underneath your name where you would be logged in. You go to user details and you can make the change. All right. We had some questions. A couple of people had to leave. We can attach a website. We're going to find out if you can print the document. Does anybody else have any other questions that we can answer for you?
Okay, yeah, there's a couple questions that come in. The first question that came in is, what's an alias union name? Someone saw it up there. You could spell it American Auto Workers Local 10, but they call themselves AEW 11. I hope that answers the question. It's just that simple. It's just if they have a short name for themselves, like Ask Me, you know, that's what we put in there. And then, oh, we're going to show that union spot there.
Down here.
Right. So if you go to edit, I think they were asking specifically about.
Uh-oh.
It started you off there.
I think that link was bad.
Okay, but that's all the alias. I think that answered the question, that it's just their short name. There was something here that did need to be addressed. Someone requested, how do we add a new employer contact should the point of contact change? Because that happens frequently. So
let me grab a quick screenshot while we're in here. All right.
Okay, so contacts do change. Point of companies of the contact change. People leave, people go. Say test company 1, the employer contact has changed. It's no longer Mary Jones. We need to add someone new. All you would do is go into your layoff right now and click edit contacts. Now on the contact screen, you can see, you can go ahead and take Mary Jones and X her out, take her off the event. Then go to search contacts and users. I want to point out there are multiple tabs on this screen. The one we start off on is EBS users. Those are the rapid response practitioners, the LWIA and the state, okay? Those are internal users. The second tab is test company 1 contacts. So this is where you'd go and create a new contact. So you'd simply go in here, create your new contact. Let's create one and call him Frank. Last name Tank. And then we got to pick a location. He's associated with that. So we click that. Now, if he had a different address, D could have clicked by address and entered that. But we're still going to assume that he's with that location. He just took over, and you click save. And then once that screen comes up, you just click add, which is going to put him on the event. And now you have your new point of contact. Now, you can also do the same thing with union contacts because union contacts change. So we have a third tab. So if you went to search contacts and users again, and you had a new union contact, you could come here and create that. So you're able to manage your internal users, company users, and union contacts on this one page. So I hope that answer the question was helpful. And when you're done, you just click the done editing button and it'll take everything back to normal.
So we have notes, we still have our files, workshops, WIOA services, what have been done for those people, our unions. And as you can see, as I was scrolling down the page, the menu on the left-hand side was changing for the quick connect.
Right, and I want to talk about the WIOA services there real quick. So those, I know LWIA 6, if you looked at your Nokia event, these are going to auto-update when you log in, so you'll be able to see how many total participants, active exiters that you have in there. So if you're ever curious about what's going on, that's one quick way to look at that. The other thing that I was going to talk about is workshops while we're on this page. Now, workshops is where you would enter your initial meetings and your employee workshops. So if we click Add Workshop, the first thing we do is select the workshop type. And I think we have 2 in there right now. Initial meeting or outreach workshop. So your initial meeting would be the first contact with a company. We're trying to hash out details to get the workers or information. For this one, all we're requiring from you is a date that it was held. And if you want any notes, you can enter notes there. And then if you want to attach contacts of anyone that attended it, you can. Once you're done, you click save and it's going to document your initial meeting. And it will also update the phase at the top. Now, you don't have to enter time or information for this one. This is something we simplified because initial meetings could happen at any time. So go ahead and hit the remove on that.
I do want to talk, though, about the languages offered. We have the ability to add a location, add a workshop and say what language that workshop will be offered. And those will show up on the public page. And we have, these are suggested languages based on information that we received from the rapid response unit. And these are the basic languages where most people would know or be able to follow along with the meeting.
I think those were provided by DHS as the standard languages they recommended.
Okay. All right, so then we're going to save this. Oh, sorry. Let's put a time.
Yeah, you just got to
in.
click that
I'm
red
just going to put a
remove
time
button.
in.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Oh, we'll get that corrected.
And so when you click on workshops, you'll see that the initial meeting's documented. Dee, I think another thing we should show, because we're going to show the public page next, is when we add a workshop, how it populates the outreach page.
Okay. So do you want to add another workshop, or do you want to go to the page?
Let's go ahead and add a workshop. And we can assume this one's going to take place tomorrow. And for workshop type, we have to select outreach workshop, and that's going to make it populate on your page. And we could do the workshop from what, 9 to 10 a.m.?
Yes. Ah.
You can see clicking that toggles AM to PM. We had 25 impacted this one, so we expect 25 to attend. And what we can do here is we can offer one in English and then click add workshop right below that, because we're going to have a Spanish workshop.
And we could add a third one if we wanted to.
We can add a third one if we want. Now, we have location information here, so we're going to hold this at the employer location, but you have a few options here. Address is there in case you have to hold an event at a union hall or an offsite place, which can happen. Online is available. You can enter a webinar link on here so people can log in, or you can click on the phone if it's like a speakerphone or a situation like that. So we kind of try to make it flexible. If you type anything in there, you can provide additional details specifically. So like we could say for public details right beneath, if we clicked yes, right below there, we could say meeting in the cafeteria. So you can see right there that that's going to be displayed on the page. Now, the box that was right above that, the additional location details, those are internal notes for the team. So if you had something the team needed to know, like, you know, front doors closed or this or that, you could put something in here, you know, yeah, make sure you bring this with you. So just click notes to the team. And then when you save that, everything that Dee just did is going to populate on that company page. And you can check that by just clicking information on the quick jump bar on the left. And you can view your public page is right under map where it says view public page, and it has the little Wi-Fi symbol. This is what the public is going to see. And so remember, this is a test site. So when they log on here, they see a map of where they were laid off. And again, we put pins on there. Those pins are locations where they can receive services. So we try to make it easy for them to see where they can find the information. On the right-hand side, there's our outreach workshop. So she has her English workshop and her Spanish workshop. We have added a calendar. A lot of people, they can't live without their Google Calendar. Clicking this lets you choose which calendar you put it on there. Very helpful for the people out there and us as well. And then, you know, we have some basic information. First, we encourage them to complete the layoff information questionnaire. Anything completed there will show up in that workflow dashboard we talked about earlier. So this is the origin of it. And then we have the resource packet. Now, this is the standard resource packet. Someone could click that and download a zip file with all this in there. Local areas, I know some of you have menus of services or other customized documentation. You can click add file and have that file available for them as well. On Trade Workshop, you can even have the BRO there and have it available if they need to go and grab it.
I'm
Going
playing with the
further
bat
down,
ball.
you know what? It doesn't matter if that goes crazy, because if you look on the right-hand side, you can see where the closest WorkNet center is in writing. So scroll down a little bit, D. So you see, it's going to show you the comprehensive center. So this is going to recommend places to go, and it tells you not only the phone number, but if it's by appointment, if they're open. So this one, you can see by appointment only. This one has hours. There's also, let's say, for instance, this guy's a remote worker, wasn't even near any of these. There's a search box. You can enter your own address and find out where to go. So see right there, search your address for local results. If you live somewhere else, you could put it there. And finally, the other thing we add on here, and see, it's going to go ahead and do a quick update. We try to make this really handy for people, so it's really awesome. The final thing is the Create Your Resume on Illinois job link. We try to incorporate that because it's still my understanding that that's one of the requirements for UI. So we tried to put everything in one stop place for everyone, but this is the company page. I didn't know if there's any questions on this, or D, if anything you'd like to say about it before we go on. You know what?
We have affiliate sites and access sites as well. So it starts with the comprehensive centers that are closest to the address of the location of the layoff.
Right. And if you go up above a little bit, there is a customizable area. So scroll to the top, and if you look right below the map, you can see there is an edit button. Well, actually below that text there, D, sorry. So see that edit button? This is going to allow you to add information and graphics to your company layoff page. LES6, I'm going to give them a shout out. They do a great job with putting marketing materials out there that has like cool graphics, like this is what time our workshop is, this is where it's at, this is the phone number. So it's something really cool that kind of catches their eye. Also, we added SlideShare on here. So if you had a slideshow, you could upload it to SlideShare, since I know not everyone out there has PowerPoint on their computer, and enter it in that SlideShare box right below the text box. So you can have a slideshow display on there just like SlideShare. DTAD,
I can show this because I've got one open right now.
Okay, perfect. While she's doing that, you can see in that box you have options to bold, italicize, pretty much anything you want. And you can see Dee just added her SlideShare there. So now the customer's coming in, they can have this. And when I do pages, I typically put on there contact information on slide 12. So that way they know immediately, okay, I'm going to go look at this. But if you click the edit button again, D, I just wanted to mention the other things there. I talked about LES6 and what they do. They use the button farthest to the right to enter an image that they create. So that's where you can kind of put your marketing material. There's also the link next to it, right? So all you got to do is go grab something and it instantly puts that picture up on your page.
Woo!
Just like that. The other thing is she said YouTube video, that thing that looks like, and I don't know why we're using a 1930 graphic of film that no one knows what it is, but that, for you kids out there, represents movies and the movie flicks that have a moving picture. So you can go to YouTube and grab your YouTube URL and put it there. So just when there's options, and then someone mentioned something about a website. You have a website, you're an LEA, you have a website. You can link your website using that hyperlink button. So just know those options are there to customize that page. And once you click save, everything's going to display nice and beautiful for the customers out there. So it really kind of just is what works best for you, for your outreach and your marketing, and how can you use this page. So we've given you the slideshow, we've given you the ability to edit text. So there's a lot of stuff on there you can do. And then, yeah, exactly. She's going to grab WorkNet new pages. And see how she just highlighted that. Now she's going to go in there. So that text is going to become her hyperlink. And all she has to do, and I can't remember what Chris calls those. They're
It's the HTML code, or it's the link for the code. And so you put your text in, you highlight the text, then you add the actual link in the box that came up.
And so now when she saves it, you can see she'll have her image, an active link on there that goes to the LWIA page, and you can adjust the slide to make that as large or small as you want. And then your slideshow. And then an added feature too is at the very bottom, we add another place where you can add more text. This was more designed, or as I intended to be, as like a frequently asked questions, or if there were specific questions to that event. So if people submitted questions, you could come in here and put those questions in at any time so someone could refer back to them. It just helps keep everything in one neat and sorted place. I think the idea here was to show that when you're building the event and everything you add, it kind of enhances and increases the customer outreach by producing this page and giving you a viable product to show to the public.
I keep grabbing that wrong. So here's what I just added.
Right. And so you can see you have that. And I kind of hope that gives an idea of like the kind of circle of life of EBS. So when you start by creating an event and then add to it, and then if you go back to the event, I think D, if you scroll to the top, you can click on, my map phased out. View details, that takes you right back to your page. So if you click on view details, that'll take you back to your layoff page. So you can do any additions or anything like that. And indeed, if you want to just real quick, click workshops, they can see that it's just going to list the workshops in a neat little row. So you can see right there, English, Spanish workshops, and then the initial meeting. So everything right there is in front of your face. And then everything we always have add to calendar if it has a date to it. I know there's been a question of, cleanup. Do we want these old pages out? There's old data. It's made so 3 days following the workshop, that outreach workshop information on the public page will go away. So it doesn't stay up there forever. It does expire after you've held the event. Just FYI there. And then one other thing I was going to do, D, if you click on phase, and this is just anytime you do something, it's going to fill out that phase bubble so you know what's going on. So we've been notified. We didn't enter an investigation note. We should have. We have initial meeting. It shows what date it's held, and then it shows when our first outreach workshop was. I think it's remarkable we held the initial meeting March 6th, and then had the first outreach workshop February. So that's fantastic. That just shows you the flexibility of EBS, folks. But that's kind of a high-level overview. Dee, I don't know where we want to go from here, or
where would they enter the investigation items?
Okay, good question. So the way the best case scenario use for this is, as information comes in about the event, you should log into your event and click notes. So on the left-hand side on my jump bar, I'm going to click notes. And then I'm going to add a note. Now, when you bring up the note box, there's a documentation type there. You can see an investigation, background, general information, official notice, and supplemental notice. Investigation is the one you want to select because when you're first doing your investigation about the company, this is where you might enter a website where you learned about it. You might enter conversations you had with the union rep about why the layoffs were. If you found out that maybe there was trade-related information, you put this investigation note in here, right? Doing your detective work. And you always have to enter just a little bit of text about what's going on. And we also allow you to attach a file if that helps. Once you enter this information and click save, you're going to see that what happens is it's going to go ahead, update the page, and change your phases. So it just gives you a quick look to see, okay, this is what's going on with my event, and this is where I'm at. And I know that might have been a lot, so I'm totally open for questions.
We went pretty fast.
We did.
And we will be posting this video on the partner page. So that is this page right here. So just watch under the partner training and materials and videos. And oh, it's wanting me to log in because I can't access this through test, but just watch this page and we will put this up by tomorrow.
Okay, I do want to show one more thing, Dee, at the request of Kelly here.
Sure.
If we can go to the layoff search. Now, You
Let me
cannot
get there.
download the company information. That's why we have the outreach tab. But you can download a spreadsheet from this. And so this is something else that could be informational for you. Some of the questions we had received is, what were the layoffs during the COVID era? Okay, so say your board said, I want to know what kind of warns were received during the COVID era. So you can develop your kind of own briefing sheet. So D, we're not going to put a company name in here because we're not looking for a specific company. We're going to look for several. But what we do need to do is change the status so it's active and closed. So I would like both those in there, because if we're looking for past events, it's possible they could be closed. So if you're looking for something 18 months, 2 years back, make sure you select active and closed. That way you can grab all that information. For layoff type, we do want to select warn, because we could be asked specific about this. Now you could select both or leave it blank. For date reported, now there's two ways to look at this. We have two different search mechanisms. Date reported is the date that we or you were notified of the layoff. We also have scheduled layoff date. So scheduled layoff date is when the people are actually being laid off. So with COVID era, we received notifications in July for people that were laid off in March. They were past notifications just because of the way it was. So this gives you a way to look for actual results, but we're looking for reported. So it was March, 16th, 2020 when it started?
Yes.
And then we'll do it.
No, actually 17th.
Okay, we'll do it to present day. And let's say we're looking at a specific LWIA. So let's go ahead and pick LWIA 7 again.
I'm lost.
Okay, right there, LWIA 7. Okay, now if we look, we'll scroll back up to the top, we can see this list is constantly updating in real time. So now we have a list of 369 companies during the COVID era that laid off. What we can do is download that. But before we do, let's click on the layoff totals. Let's see what that looks like. You can see you have multiple ways to view this. This first one is going to break down those months. So you can see we started with March, so that's the first one. It's going to tell you how many warns, that's what that number is. Local events is the second number, and then the total. So you get a count by month, how many notices you got. And you can see in March, it's 75, and it just keeps getting bigger, or it stays large over the next few months, but then it drops down significantly in December. If you scroll back to the top, you can also look at different views of this tabs. So scheduled totals is another way to look at it. If you go to scheduled totals, D, and go back down to March, you're going to see it significantly larger, right, 23,000 as compared to March of 2021, which is 908. So you can see that during the COVID month of March 2022, there was a significant amount of layoffs reported. That's what we're looking at now. Now going to the top, scheduled layoffs is just going to show you the companies themselves. But what's really interesting, I think, is skip to industry totals. This is the good information. So this is going to tell you, here's your COVID information. Combination food services during that era accounted for 53.9% of the reported layoffs. So that's a very large number. And that makes sense because restaurants were closing down on large numbers there. You can download this information. If you scroll down on the left-hand side, there is a download tab and you're going to get an Excel spreadsheet. This Excel spreadsheet is going to have just a list of your layoffs, but it's also going to have the industry totals tab that shows you exactly what you're seeing on the screen there. The industry, the number of company layoff events, the percentage that accounted for the total layoffs, how many layoffs were within that, and the expected layoff percentage. So this all information is going to be produced to you in a spreadsheet. I just wanted you to be aware that you can use this layoff search screen to search for events and kind of get an idea of what the layoff picture looked like at any certain point in time. And I believe we have information going back to the started deaths, which is in the 1990 range. So I hope that was helpful. I just want to kind of point out that layoff search feature is there. Thank you, Kelly, for asking about that. There is one other question. Wasn't sure if I mentioned, but the WEO is service section. Yes, so we showed the WEO is services section on the layoffs. So if we go to the layoffs and then I think click search and then went to the Fisher Nuts one.
It's thinking. Give it a second.
Okay, it's thinking. But I think what we're trying to say is the WEO is services. Those are customers that are tied directly to that debts ID for that company. And we encourage you to spend your dislocated worker dollars. We encourage you to add people to the event. So if you create the events, add people to them in IWDS, you'll have those service counts available by company in the system. And that was something someone wanted me to clarify there real quick. One thing I noticed, yeah, reset filter options. If you get crazy entering stuff like I do, you can clear it all out by hitting reset filter options, which is very, very helpful if you get too intense. And so like Fisher Nuts, I think that's the one we could look at. But on the left-hand side, there's WEO with services. This is all tied directly to the debts ID in IWDS. So anytime you associate a customer with that, that information is going to pull in here. That was a lot, Dee. What do you think? Open it up for questions, or what should we do now?
Well, I think we've kind of been answering questions, but if you want to, if anybody else has a question, you're welcome to type them. If you want to ask it, you're welcome to open up your microphone. If you're nervous about talking on the webinar, just type it. And as I said earlier, I will get this posted by tomorrow on the partner page. Thank you, Levi, for your expertise on this. It was great information.
Well, I'm glad I provided it. I'll get my brain in better next time.
Susan is saying that she and Sheila would like to spend some time to see how we can enhance trade R&R.
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate everybody's participation. It's really heartfelt for me that so many attended today. IEBS is a new system still, and I just welcome any feedback that you have. As you said, some of us are not comfortable just jumping on and sharing, or we have a thought afterwards. Please share your thoughts, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Everything that you share makes this system better because it's made based on the users, for the users, so that you all can have a system that helps you do your job better, quicker, faster. It's a work in progress always. There's the business outreach screens that we're going to be building out some more on. We're going to be reaching out to the business services people throughout the state, locally, to help assist in getting those screens dialed in. Regional economic development teams are going to be being ramped up and called in to look at the system and help us with design and development work as well. So there's a lot in store for IEBS in the upcoming year, and we are going to have ongoing training and technical assistance sessions. If there's anything particular today that sparked your interest, or you're feeling like, I don't quite understand that, or I'd like to know, can we take a deeper dive into that? That's another thing. Please send us so that we can facilitate that type of training for you. If you want some one-on-one training, that's, let us know that too. Like we're open to whatever you need so that you can get comfortable and be able to be fluid on IEBS and be able to use it to its capabilities and its potential. Thanks.
Well, thank you everybody for your time and attention this afternoon. I know at one point on our webinar, we had 96 attendees. We did have some people that had to leave for a 3 o'clock appointment or meeting. So we did have a little bit of drop off, but we are happy to share this information with you in any form or fashion that will make it useful for you and effective for what you need to use it for.
Absolutely. We always put you first when presenting this stuff. I just want you all to know my dog's feeding time is 3 o'clock and she has been staring at me with an angry grimace, but I love everyone here so much and want you to be successful. I'm doing this for you. So
my dog's been tapping her feet too. So all All right. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll talk to you. Watch the partner page for upcoming sessions in case you have additional questions. We plan to have some open office hours along the way as well, just so that we can answer any questions that you might have. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.